Hi guys, how you doing? I just want to do even more blues lessons on this walk because I thought of a couple more details about my minor blues discovery and compared to major blues, or what's commonly called blues. And I like to rant about it a little bit. So, okay, here we go. So, turns out there's two sets of scales that come up in minor blues and blues that have 6 notes. That means there's there's actually two different. There's two scales that come up, but 2 of them are just modes of each other, and the other 2 are also modes of each other. There's really only 2 unique scale choices, but there's 2 modes of each one, which makes 4 choices, if you guys get what I mean. So let's do it. So first, and I'm talking about 6 note scales here. So first is the blues scale. Okay, it's a minor pentatonic with an added flat 5. So if I'm in the key of E, let's say I'm in E blues. So I'm in the key of E. I have E, G, A, B flat, B, D, E. Okay, that's one of the scales. That's blues scale. But now I have the mode of it that starts on G. It's still the same notes as E blues scale, but I'm going to start it on G, the minor third up, and that's its own scale, and that's a major pentatonic with an added minor third. Okay, and that scale would be G, A, B flat, B, D, E, and G. But that's just the mode of the E blues scale. So even though they're 2 different 6 note scales, they're just modes of each other. So another way of looking at that is that a blues scale is just a major pentatonic with an added flat third, but played a minor third down, and a major pentatonic scale with an added flat third is just a blues scale played a third up. So I gotta just do my volumes here. Excuse us, guys. Oh God, yeah, right. Huh, okay, let's get the volume off on this. Sorry guys, let me just do this. Okay, so like I said, that's one type of scale thing, but it has 2 modes to it, and one is the blues scale, and one is a major pentatonic with an added minor third. But those 2 scales are just modes of each other, but they are 2 different scales if you want to look at it that way. The other 2, how you look at it, is that starting with a Wiseman scale. So I'm going to start with an E Wiseman scale. So a Wiseman scale is a minor pentatonic with a major third added to it, 6 note scale. So an E Wiseman scale would be E, G, G sharp, A, B, D, and E. Okay, that's an E Wiseman scale. However, you can play that a minor third up, which would give you a G major pentatonic with an added flat second, which I hear already has an 8. I was going to call that the Wiseman blues scale, but it really doesn't need to be called anything different because it's just a mode of the Wiseman scale anyway. Not only that, somebody's already named it. But for now, we'll just call it a major pentatonic with an added flat second. So an E Wiseman scale is, like I said, E, G, G sharp, A, B, D, and E. And then a G, as in goat, major pentatonic with an added flat second would be G, A flat, A, B, D, E, G. And so that makes the fourth 6-note scale, but yet a major pentatonic with an added flat second is just a mode of the Wiseman scale. They're not different things. They're not different interval patterns. They're just the same thing, but starting on a different note. Therefore, they're just modes of each other. Okay, so we got that out of the way. So if you're in E blues, you basically have four different scales. If you break it all down into minor patterns. I'm going to let you do some of the work on that because I think I've done enough of it. But figure this out if you need to work it out. That if you're in E blues, let's say minor or major blues, you have four different possible scales that have 6 notes to use from. You have the E blues scale, the E Wiseman scale, the C sharp blues scale, and the C sharp Wiseman scale. That's just how it works out. Because a C sharp Wiseman scale is an E major pentatonic with a flat second, and a C sharp blues scale is an E major pentatonic with an added flat third. And an E blues scale is a G major pentatonic with an added flat third, and an E Wiseman scale is an E minor pentatonic with an added flat third. So that's all the possibilities for the four 6-note chords. I mean, 4 6-note scales that exist in a blues. In this case, E. You have E blues scale, E Wiseman scale, C sharp Wiseman scale, and C sharp blues scale. And then each major blues has 3 of those that it uses, and the minor blues has 3 others that it uses. So neither one of the major or minor blues uses all 4, but each one uses 3 of them and leaves 1 out. So, and they do it rather symmetrically, actually. It turns out that with major blues, if you're in E major blues, the main scales are E Wiseman scale, E blues scale, and C sharp blues scale. And people know that. That's not too hard. But with E minor blues, the main scales are E Wiseman scale, C sharp Wiseman scale, and C sharp blues scale. That's how it works. And so there's 2. So for major blues, you have again. Love you. To repeat that again, for E major blues, you use E Wiseman scale, E blues scale, or C sharp blues scale. For E minor blues, you use E Wiseman scale, C sharp Wiseman scale, and C sharp blues scale. And if you take it all together, you have 4 6-note scales. You have the E Wiseman scale, the E blues scale, the C sharp Wiseman scale, and the C sharp blues scale. Oh, okay. And that explains the melodies. For the harmonies, I'm going to do a little discussion on that too. So the harmonies for the major blues are just dominant 7th on the 1, dominant 7th on the 4, dominant 7th on the 5. So in the key of E major blues, the chords would be E dominant 7th, A dominant 7th, B dominant 7th. Now for the minor blues, there's 2 ways you could do it, and I decided on one way over the other. The one way is to use the minor 7 flat 5s for the root, for the 1, 4, and 5 would all be minor 7th flat 5s. Minor 7 flat 5 chords, and that's okay theoretically, but it's dissonant. It sounds really bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do the main chord. It's going to be a minor 6th chord. So that's a minor triad with an added major 6. So the one chord would be, the chords in E minor blues would be E minor 6, A minor 6, and B minor 6. So there you have it. There even could be a time. There could even be a possibility that just like in classical music, how the natural minor scale doesn't sound as good without the major third, without without the major triad on the dominant. So in other words, it sounds better with the major chord. It's might find in the future that the minor blues might sound better with the dominant seventh chord on the dominant, better than a minor sixth. I don't know that yet. In fact, I don't even think it, and I kind of hope it isn't true, because it makes more of a pure sound that's more purely minor blues. But if it does work out that way, then you would have what I would call a harmonic minor blues progression. Where now that listen to these chords, this would be interesting. Even though I hope it doesn't work out that this is necessary, but my hope doesn't matter. It's what sounds good that counts. And an E harmonic minor blues progression, the chords would be E minor sixth, A minor sixth, and B dominant seventh. See, that would be borrowing the dominant chord from the major blues for the minor blues, just like the harmonic minor scale borrows the dominant chord from the major scale, rather than the pure minor, which would have a minor dominant chord. So there's possible that I'm going to end up with a even more complex situation if I think that the minor blues sounds best with the dominant seventh and the dominant on the five chord, rather than a minor sixth. But we'll get to that when we cross it, because we can't get it until we cross it. We don't need to cross it when we've crossed it. So, yeah, well, let's keep that an open mind. But for now, I'm talking pure minor blues. So the one chord is E minor sixth. The four chord is A minor sixth. The five chord is B minor sixth. And in the future, it means that you have, yeah, again. So it might be in the future. We might find that you have A minor for an A blues progression. You would have for an E. For an E harmonic minor blues, E, what comes up to be sounding good. Anyway, love you guys, peace, love, and rock and roll.